Hello everyone, welcome to today's episode of the Osasu Show.
In commemoration of the Christmas season, Africa's leading political and development program will take you on a journey of the tremendous and impactful work we achieved this year. Let's get started.
North to South Africa, East to West Africa, TOS TV Network is your digital-first Pan-African news network, bringing you news from across the continent. Visit our website www.tostvnetwork.com and follow us on social media at TOS TV Network on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter.
Recently, TOS Television, in a civic engagement with development partners, stakeholders, and the media, hosted the former President of Nigeria, His Excellency Dr. Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, who shared very valuable insights on tackling some very important national issues.
As a nation, we must plan for the young people. And if any nation that wants to grow, they don't plan for people like us. When you get to this age, you're looking down, you're not looking up again. And I remember in the 18th century or so, I always forget some of these names, when I think in Britain, when they were just struggling to come up, one economist wrote a classical essay, Planning for Our Grandchildren. And that essay, the government took that essay seriously, and they began to think differently. Before we were planning for somebody who is already waiting to die to survive. Somebody waiting to die can die. But the younger people that are coming up are those that will change the society. And so whenever somebody has programs that face the young people and women, and this is the segment of society that appears to be marginalized to some extent based on our thinking, then we're quite happy. So thank you so much for what you are doing, you and your team of very young people, and for your good programs.
In furtherance of this corporate social responsibility initiative, under the auspices of TOS Foundation, the Executive Governor of Abia State, Dr. Okezie Victor Ikpeazu, visited TOS headquarters in Abuja for a courtesy visit and a roundtable discussion. Dr. Okezie Ikpeazu spoke on the importance of young people understanding the political sphere in order to fully participate in politics and create value in the Nigerian political system.
Specifically, my strategy in Abia concerning youth and women is first of all to empower them, because politics in Nigeria requires some money. And what money does, I can't ask anybody to go look for all the money he or she needs to be relevant politically. No, because there's nothing like that, there's no budget. But the little money you have gives you some self-confidence to raise your hand and make contributions during meetings. And unfortunately, politics in Nigeria does not respect mentorship. It doesn't respect apprenticeship. You can serve a president for 8 years and you end up not becoming anything. So coming back to what we need to do as a party leader to make sure we mainstream women into politics. You will notice that most political parties, including my party, have a concession for women. They say if you are a woman and you are running, it's either the form is free or they give you 50% of what the forms. But as far as I'm concerned, that is salutary. Giving me a form does not amount to anything. If you give me a ticket to a train and the train never arrives, what am I doing with the paper? So I think we need to be a little bit intentional about what we want to do. But I want I want our women also to move away, to step up the game a little bit. I do not like women asking every time to be given opportunity to participate, as if power, nobody gives power to anybody. You people can use the weight of 50% of the voting population in Nigeria. I mean, you people can use the weight of 50% of the voting population in Nigeria.
The roundtable was an heartfelt, transparent and honest conversation with Dr. Okezie Victor Ikpeazu.
Thank you so much.
While I understand that, the reason I asked this question and asked you to elucidate on how coming together under one umbrella, which is the All Progressives Congress, can bring about peace and the dividends of democracy to the people of Zamfara State, is because despite the fact that you have quite clearly stated now that you are best friends with the former governor, it didn't seem that way when the both of you were hauling out insults at each other in the pages of the newspapers and on television with the accusations leveled against both parties. But yes, let's call a spade a spade. The both of you have settled now in public. Moving forward, so now that you all will be walking under one umbrella, can you guarantee the people of Zamfara State that all the indices that they suffered before due to opposition politics, due to insecurity, will be no more because now you're a member of the ruling All Progressives Congress?
That's why I said now people will expect more from us. And as you are aware, this is a ruling party, which we have all the Senate, the member House of Rep, and the State Assembly. And you just see now the minister just left me, the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs. So we have now, we are more strong now. We are more strong. And I believe people will benefit more than before. And now wherever my hand does not reach before, now I can lend my hand and I can get what I want. And I believe with this coming up together, we have so many board members in the nationals, and we're going to get more of them, and we're going to have more opportunities for employment in our youth and our other state actors. And I believe by the time, maybe after 2 or 3 months, when you come back to Zamfara, you see a lot of tremendous changes, because I'm going to work hard with my own other colleagues so that we can get more from the federal government, and particularly on the issue of security. I believe, though I know even before I decamped, I know the arrangement that Mr. President had made to bring more equipment to our security agencies so that they should fight in these criminalities in the northern Nigeria. And now, when I'm traveling maybe next week to Abuja, I'm going to discuss with Mr. President, particularly the issue of some rising cases of this issue of banditry in Zamfara and other neighboring states, which I believe will get more troops that will come and help the state.
For your other colleagues who have remained in the PDP and are still suffering some of these indices and insecurity issues, what's your advice to them?
My advice is for them to come. All we need is how are we going to make our state better? How are we going to improve the living of our people? So I believe many of them are coming to the ruling party, because I know we are talking with some of them, and I believe very soon you'll be surprised for the kind of people and my colleagues that will join the ruling party. This is our secret.
The culture here in Kano is very rich. I'm from Edo State, and we also have a very rich culture as well. How do we go about uniting and exporting our culture to sort of increase the IGR of our different states, and also to export positivity in the image of Nigerians across the world?
Yeah, you know, the culture varies and is very diverse. What I keep telling people is that culture and tradition are part and parcel of someone's life. Once you lose that, you are losing your identity completely. The culture must be there, the tradition must be there. Change is inevitable, but you just need to adjust here and there so that things will be better. But I remember, maybe I was younger then, when the FESTAC 77 was hosted here. And everybody believes that FESTAC brings a lot of unity within the African nations, the black nation generally. So if we look at our cultures, virtually, the cultures are virtually the same thing. But it's just that the way people understand them are different. So what I would say is like, we should try as much as we can to be keeping in touch with each other culturally and traditionally, so that we look at where we think we can merge together and push forward. Like I said, Pestac 77 was long time ago, but it is still echoing, not only in Nigeria, but all over the world. So, and I'm happy you're from Edo, you know what the sign of the Pestac was, which shows the culture and tradition of our people in Benin Kingdom. And everybody accepted it, which means there is not much difference or fight when it comes to culture. Kanoman didn't say, no, put my tradition as a platform. But we all accepted it, not only Nigeria, but the whole of Africa. So if we can do that at a point in time, I think we can always do it over and over again, because it's the same people, it's the same culture, it's the same tradition, only that, time changes. But culture doesn't accept total change, because the culture is supposed to be maintained. And like I said, once you lose your culture, you are losing your identity.
As of today, Honorable, Parliament has failed us. Parliament has failed Nigerians. Because as of today, when we look at the many situations that we're facing as a people, the insecurity, the unemployment, the failed state that we call a nation today, Nigeria, we have to blame you, the parliamentarians, because you have failed in your responsibility to be the voice of the people. Nigeria finds itself in such a distraught stage. So how do we evolve to be a true parliament that will be reflective of the people?
Garbage in, garbage out. How do we become a parliamentarian? By being elected by the people. The people are entrusted. So what's the process? I must make you understand that the failure of the parliament is a reflection of the failure of Nigerian citizens as a nation. What's the process? How do men of honor and integrity come out to run an election and the system and the citizens stand behind them? Can the parliament take a progressive position today? And when the attempt by the government to bully is supported by the citizens, until we get to that level. That's why I say it must be a collective effort. There must be more sensitization. We must invest in educating our people. The principle of democracy must be entrenched in a manner that, hey, it's not about being your brother, being your sister. Can he deliver the job? What is his pedigree? When I'm running an election, you should check my yesterday. What I'm saying now, is in sync with my character, my behavior yesterday? Or is it because I suit the political leader or the godfatherism that is operating in the environment? You impose the wrong person to lead you, and you expect a different result. So, in as much the parliament has its own issue, the Nigerian citizens, the Nigerian people must rise beyond talking. Yes, the NSAS youth came up with NSAS for the first time. But can I tell you something? I'm a product of such agitation. I was a student union leader. And at that time, we had systems that work without focusing on benefit. The major reason why we're where we are now is that our value system has dropped so much. Nobody is interested in how you got it. Can you drive a Lamborghini? Can you drive this? It used to be that in society, in communities, you can't be a chief without your background being checked.
From late May to early June in 2020, several civil society organizations in the country took to the streets to protest the rape and murders of Uwa Omozua, who was raped in a church in Benin and died as a result of the brutal attack. Barakat Bello, who was raped and killed in her home, and Grace Oshiagu, who was raped and killed in Ibadan, the Oyo State capital. In response, the police intensified efforts to catch the perpetrators, showing the power of social movements in addressing violence against women.
I'm not happy with the way the Nigerian government is handling issues of violence against women and girls. Rape is just one factor of it. But in general, when we're talking about violence against women and girls, I really don't believe that the Nigerian government is prioritizing it. And for a country like Nigeria, where when we look at the data that we have, the little data that we have, and you look at the Nigerian Demographic and Household Survey, what you see is that between 2013 and 2018, that violence actually increased.
How is it that a country such as this has 0.03 allocation of the budget within the police architecture, where we have desks, gender desks in every police station, but we don't have response mechanisms for them to be able to reach out to victims of abuse?
Not all police stations in the whole of the Federation can boast of a standard gender desk, but that is the ultimate goal. That is the ultimate ambition. But I can tell you that well over 80% of the stations and 100% of the state CIDs and 100% of the state command headquarters has got these facilities. And for us, this is a good that is substantial progress, looking at where we are coming from and where we want to go.
We all believe that justice delayed is justice denied. And one of the reasons why justice is delayed is because our courts, the dockets are cramped to the full. Like cases are adjourned for more than 2 weeks intervals and the rest of it. And the matter that should ordinarily be dispensed with within weeks now drags for long months. It can weary the heart. It can weary even the strong.
Isolation centers are just as important as shelters for survivors. So if the government could respond to COVID-19 the way they responded, that means that they can immerse the same effort, the same commitment into responding to sexual and gender-based violence. So there has to be that commitment from the government.
We all have a role to play. Our parents have got roles to play. Our teachers in school, our religious leaders, and our political leaders. For me, we must work together, push together, and together, I believe, we will surmount this rising challenge of rape within our polity.
The policemen, the Road Safety Commission people that are not being provided with the kits that they need to excel, what would be your advice to them? Do you advise them to stay put and hope for the best? Or do you advise them, if you're not provided with the tools to enable you carry your duties, you need to back off and, let the government do what it needs to do to be able to provide security to its people?
Some of the criminals that we are dealing with, they are not better equipped. And I gave an example some time ago, particularly, the Boko Haram terrorists. They are not well equipped. Okay. And I can give you an example.
Okay.
They don't have the benefit of air power, but we have. We have the benefit of air power. They don't have. So, on the basis of that, and you look at the caliber of the weapons they have. What are the caliber of the weapons they have vis-a-vis what the Nigerian military has?
So why is it that despite our own more sophisticated weapons, Boko Haram is still killing people on such a frequent basis in Nigeria?
Now you look at the issue of terrorism and insurgency and the tactics involved. They are so determined to execute their agenda, so they are not following any conventional thing. And it's a new phenomenon, and we have to give it to our security agencies and the military in particular, for rising up to the occasion, because the military is trained for conventional warfare. Now you are faced with an unconventional enemy that lives side by side with the population, and you are trying to avoid collateral damages, concern for human rights and the lives of other Nigerians. So these are some of the issues that come into play.
Aside creating these additional polling units, how can voters be guaranteed that their votes will actually count? In 2011, during the presidential election, over 1 million votes were cancelled, meaning those people who had to trek 10 kilometers to the polling unit, those people who had to carry their babies on their back and stood in the sun for hours, didn't have their voices heard, weren't able to exercise their democratic rights. So what guarantee is INEC giving to the voters that their votes will count in the upcoming 2023 elections?
Well, we are starting early and we are engaged in strategic planning. And part of our strategic planning is to expand access to the polling units. So what we are doing is that we have consulted with political parties, we've consulted with civil society groups and organizations, we've consulted with the media, we've consulted with the Interagency Consultative Committee on Election Security, we've consulted with some sociocultural groups and organizations, we've consulted with the National Economic Council, headed by the Vice President and made up of the state governors. We have also consulted with the Federal Executive Council relating to this, and we have shown evidential picture to buttress the fact that there's crisis and that we need to resolve this crisis before we get to 2023. So what we are doing is that the moment we are through with these national level consultations, we will now move to the stage of implementation and engage in grand throttle. We will go to the various local governments with maps from our GIS laboratory showing where these polling units are, where the voting points are, and the places that are either not served or underserved. So we will convert all the voting points and voting point settlements into full-fledged polling units, and then we take it to the people rather than the people looking for polling units. We will take it closer to the people. And we believe that when we take it closer to the people and we have a threshold of 750,000 voters per polling unit, that people will have a very good voting experience, and those who do not vote before will have an opportunity of voting. Violence will reduce at the polling units, overcrowding will reduce at the polling units, and we can provide good electoral services rather than have votes cancelled. Because what goes on now is that a polling unit that has over 29 voting points, when there's a problem, when there's overvoting in one voting point, sometimes people insist that the entire votes from all the polling units, that is the votes from the 29 voting points and the main mother polling unit, will be cancelled. And that has created a huge challenge for the electoral management body, and we intend to break these jinx.
Next week, we will wrap up the highlights of the year. But before we let you go, here is how the Osasu Show Foundation is celebrating Jesus, the reason for the season, in all states across Nigeria and the FCT.
All enjoying their meal and being grateful to the Osasu Show Foundation. The Osasu Show Foundation provided a creative meal for both male and female.
Thanks to the Osasu Show Foundation, we are feeding these people to celebrate Christmas.
Osasu Show Foundation. Thank you. We won't go until we get some. We won't go until we get some. Thank you so much to the Osasu Show Foundation. We are able to do this because we're able to show them love. Thank God for everything. So yeah. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Tune in next week to watch the concluding part of our year in review.